There's a dependence of 8 patrons with benefits. Now, Mohammed Fugu and Abubakar Al-Hassan Baba, it's reported that President John Dramani Mahama will announce a program for creating a fund to assist with the education of the children of 8 patriots who lost their lives in a helicopter crash on Wednesday, August 6th. Now, this year, he said the fund would also allow persons who want to contribute to the education of their children to do so. President Mahama said this at a final funeral rite known as the Third Day Adua in Accra in honor of the late acting Deputy National Security Coordinator and former Minister of Food and Agriculture, Alhaji Mohammed Munir Limuna, who was one of the 8 persons who lost their lives in the crash. The president explained that the details of the program would be unveiled during Friday's state funeral for the falling compatriots. Now, similar prayers which marked the final Islamic funeral rites were offered in the northern regional capital, Tamale, in honor of the late Alhaji Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, the Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, the Minister of Environment, Science and Technology. Political leaders, traditional rulers, and the public stood side by side, putting aside all differences to pray for the late MP for Tamale Central and the Deputy National Security Coordinator. Now, he says that President Mahama said it was a difficult calamity that had befallen the country because all those who died were in the prime of their lives with so much responsibility. Their children were still in school, with some having children as young as 2 months old, and these responsibilities are what we have to take up to make sure that the absence of their parent does not affect the innocent children. And he goes on and on and on to eulogize, the falling compatriots. Now, first of all, what do you make of this idea? And how do we secondly go about it in a way that, it's in a way that benefits optimally the people who are the targets?
I strongly think that is a good move, at least for the spouses and the children to appreciate the fact that government is thinking something like that for them, because it has happened all over the time. Sometimes after these burial and funeral, people will come, show their faces, and that's it. But when you look at how tragic their deaths are, it's so emotional and so touching in a way that you can't sit down quietly and say that you can't do anything about it. Dying in duty, on service to the nation. So for the president to make this initiative, it's a good one, and he's making a call that anybody who is interested in donating to that cause is welcome.
Do you think
and
it
I'm
should
sure
be?
they're going to have maybe some administrators that are going to manage this fund.
Should it be state-led or private sector-led?
A combination of both.
Okay.
First of all, the trustees that will be managing this fund is very important.
Yeah.
You need to get credible people. I'm sure they're going to get them to manage this trustee on behalf of these gallant friends. That's a good sign. But notwithstanding that, anybody who still want to help, like you mentioned, Haruna has taken a lead already to make sure that I know he's going to do even more than that, looking at the way I've dealt with him. He's a person who doesn't look at politics. If he wants to help you, he goes beyond politics. As an MP, you are for everybody, not NDC alone, but you're for. But this is a brother who is so close to you. So it's something that we must commend the government for what he has done, that people who have and they also want to support, they can still go ahead and do it. But we should look at other people as well. What has been done for other people who has also died on the line of duty? How were they treated? Is it because these only 8 people? I'm sure there are some other people who have died in the line of duty. How were they treated? Can government look at some of these things and see what he can do to rope them in, because they might also die on their line of duty to serve this country. As we speak now, they actually can't even know what they are doing, And these military aircraft, they are not insured. There's no insurance. All these military vehicles, aircrafts and the things, they are not insured. So you die free. Nothing. So I'll commend the president for this initiative.
No, and I think that you've raised a very interesting point about looking at others who have also suffered a similar fate. So what it means is that we need to probably have a more holistic policy.
Absolutely so.
To look
Absolutely
at public servants who have died tragically in the line of duty.
For example, you look at these police men who goes to duty and they are shot by armed robbers.
Yeah.
And all we hear is that they organize their funeral and some token is given to them. What had been done to them? We look at some of these things. You know, our soldiers, these firemen, they go and try to fight the fire. And in the course of their duty, they die.
Right.
In fighting fire and all that. How are they treated? So this is an eye-opener for all of us. And I think that government should look at this holistically and see how it can rope in other people who have really, really sacrificed.
So it doesn't come across as you're picking and choosing?
No, not at all. Not at all. But because this one is so quick, and the trauma at which the families are going through, I mean, this money will not bring them back. These monies will not bring them back. At least to have food on the table of these spouses and their children is what government is trying to look at it. And the education of these 2 months, young family. And the sole breadwinner is gone. I mean, that trauma alone is quite huge.
Okay, so there's a fund in the offing. What do you think?
Well, I think that the president has correctly identified a problem, and it's a genuine, real problem. But I think that the solution that he proffers ought to have universal application. You understand? That's a specific problem, but its solution has to have universal application. And I agree fully with my brother here. You know, the cocoa farmer who is going to his farm to grow cocoa to generate foreign exchange for Ghana and so on, and gets bitten by a snake and dies in the line of duty. The electrician at the Electricity Corporation of Ghana who gets electrocuted, while some work, dies in the line of duty. The driver of the Metro Mass bus who gets an accident and dies in the line of duty, and so on, And in any case, should people die in the line of duty before we take care of their children and so on? We should build a society in which no child goes to bed on an empty stomach. That should be our obligation. We should build a society in which everybody has access to health care. That should be our ultimate objective, to build a humane, just society. A society in which the resources, belong to the people and are exploited for the benefit of the people. That's the vision we should have as Ghana, you understand? So, what the president has announced, I know is in absolute good faith. He's identified a real specific problem. He wants something to be done about it. It's not bad, it's good. But I think that whatever solution is designed, eventually we should be looking at having universal application. Because there are so many cases, so many brilliant children who cannot go to school, not just because their parents died in the line of duty, but because of circumstances that they did not create. So the ultimate objective should be to build a humane, just society. A humane, just society in which the resources that belong to the people are exploited for their benefit. That's all.
And to add to what Kwesi said, because some workers, employees would die during service, at the enterprise level, in their conditions of service, some provisions are made in the articles, but that may not be enough. For example, when you die in the line of duty, they'll take care of your funeral, blah, blah, blah. But in there, sponsoring of the children, sometimes you don't see much there. All they do is that they provide coffin, get some money to do the funeral, and bury a funeral, and that's it.
But my boss, the point I'm making is that you don't even have to die for your children to have access to education.
No, that is there. That is there.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
You don't
That is there.
even have to die.
That is there.
You don't have to die in the line of duty for your children to have access to medical care.
Yeah.
Every child must be given that right. That should be our national aspiration. That's the point I'm making.
I get it.
You know.
I get it. Yeah.
The equal opportunity must be there. The equal opportunity, like this free SHS thing that the President Kufuor brought, is there for everybody. Because funds should not be an hindrance for you to have access to education. Funds should not be a hindrance to have access to health. I'm always supporting my contribution by saying that at the enterprise level, there are some provisions in the collective bargaining agreement of workers and management. And in that level, the only provision you see in most of these collective bargaining agreements is about providing some support for the burial and funeral. And that's it. But because he died in line of duty.
Yeah.
Who takes care of the spouse? Who takes care of the children? Because the daily bread every day is very important. I'm fortunate I lost my father 91 when I was about 25 years. But I have to support my mother and my elder brother to support the younger ones. Now Kwale was 5 years when her father died. The twins was about 12 years. Unfortunately, he didn't die on line of duty. He was sick.
Yeah.
But there are some people who died on the line of duty. That is the angle I'm trying to look at it.
I get it.
But universally, the president should look at it. People who really die in it, what should be done about it? And it's a start to this one that he's doing.